The sleek silver ship descended from the clouds, silent as a ghost. People across the globe watched their screens as the first confirmed alien vessel approached Earth. In Seoul, Dr. Han Jin-ho gripped his coffee mug tightly, barely breathing, as he watched the live broadcast. The ship landed in a wide field outside Geneva where world leaders had gathered. Soldiers stood at attention, facing the unknown with brave faces but racing hearts. News drones circled overhead, capturing every moment for the billions watching. After a tense wait, a doorway appeared in the smooth hull. 3 tall figures emerged. The aliens, who called themselves Zorlians, stood nearly 7 feet tall with slender bodies and gray-blue skin that reflected the sunlight. Their eyes were large and completely black, set in angular faces. "We come in peace and friendship," the lead alien said through a small device that translated their clicks and whistles into perfect English. "We have watched your world for many years. You have much to teach us, and we have much to share." Over the next few weeks, the world changed. Zorlian representatives met with scientists, politicians, and cultural leaders. They spoke of advanced medicine, clean energy, and faster-than-light travel. Markets soared with promises of new technology. Children drew pictures of their new space friends. Dr. Han received a message one morning from the Korean Science Ministry. The Zorlians had requested Earth's best scientists for a cultural exchange. His name was on the list. "They want you to visit their homeworld," his boss said, eyes wide with excitement. "This is the opportunity of a lifetime." Han sat alone in his apartment that night, staring at the stars. His wife had died 2 years ago. His parents were gone. His work was his life now. What was keeping him here? A chance to see another world, to be among the first humans to travel beyond our solar system. He sent his acceptance. 50 people from across Earth were chosen: scientists, doctors, engineers, diplomats, and a small military contingent for security. They gathered at the new Zorlian embassy in Switzerland, a gleaming structure that hadn't existed 2 weeks earlier. Captain Nami Ray, a decorated pilot, would represent the Korean Air Force. She and Han met during orientation. "Nervous?" she asked, seeing his hands fidget with his identification badge. "Terrified," Han admitted with a small smile. "But in a good way." "Me too," she said. "But someone has to be first." The day of departure arrived. Families said tearful goodbyes. Han stood alone until Captain Na approached him. "No one to see you off?" she asked. "No one left," he replied. "You?" "My parents couldn't make it. They live in Busan." She glanced at her watch. "It's time." The 50 humans boarded a shuttle that would take them to the Zorlian ship waiting in orbit. The interior was odd, the seats too tall, the lights slightly too blue. Everything felt just a little wrong, but Han reminded himself that was to be expected. They weren't on Earth anymore. The journey began with great fanfare. Every day, the delegation sent video messages back to Earth. Han showed viewers the incredible laboratory where he worked alongside Zorlian scientists. Captain Na demonstrated the strange food and exercise equipment. The diplomats shared their progress in establishing formal relations. For 8 weeks, everything seemed perfect. Han felt he was making real scientific breakthroughs. The Zorlians were interested in human biology, especially our nervous system. Sometimes their questions seemed odd, but he attributed that to cultural differences. Then came the first concerning incident. Han overheard 2 Zorlians speaking when they thought no humans were nearby. His translator picked up fragments, specimens and pain threshold and disposal procedure. When he rounded the corner, they stopped talking immediately. That night, he shared his concerns with Captain Na. "I've noticed things too," she whispered. "The security doors only lock from the outside. And have you seen any other Zorlian ships? Where are the regular people?" Before they could investigate further, the ship's captain announced a change in course due to stellar phenomena. Communications with Earth became less frequent, explained away as distance interference. Han tried to access the ship's navigation system, but his access was denied. When he questioned this, the Zorlian supervisor smiled too widely. A simple security protocol, the alien said. Nothing to worry about. The next day, 3 humans disappeared. The Zorlians claimed they had been moved to another research section. When Han demanded to see them, he was confined to quarters for his safety. The last transmission Earth received showed the smiling face of the Zorlian ambassador. Regretfully, we must inform you of a tragic accident. A containment failure has resulted in the loss of your delegation. We share in your grief. On Earth, families wept. Governments demanded answers, but the Zorlians provided no proof, no bodies, no debris. Only vague condolences and promises of continued friendship. In his office at Global Security, Director Shin looked at the final images from the mission. Something in the eyes of the Zorlian ambassador bothered him. He started making calls. Something wasn't right, and he intended to find out what. 6 months passed since the tragedy. The world moved on, but not Director Shin. He stared at the wall of his office, covered with photos of the 50 missing people. Something about the Zorlian explanation never felt right to him. The space monitoring station near Neptune sent an urgent alert at 3:27 a.m. A small ship had appeared suddenly, its engines failing. It wasn't Earth technology. Director Shin was awakened immediately. "Sir, it's definitely Zorlian," the duty officer reported, "but it's not responding to hails." Shin ordered the nearest patrol vessel to intercept. "Approach with caution. We don't know if this is a trap." The EDF Dauntless reached the drifting ship 12 hours later. Captain Bay ordered his team to suit up for boarding. The Zorlian vessel was dark, its hull damaged by what looked like weapons fire. "Life signs?" Captain Bay asked over the comm. "One, very weak signal," his science officer replied. "Near the bridge." The boarding team cut through the sealed doorway. Inside, emergency lights cast red shadows across alien corridors. They moved carefully, weapons ready. The air smelled strange, metallic, and sweet. They found the lone survivor in the pilot's chair, purple blood leaking from wounds in his chest. The Zorlian's eyes flickered when he saw the humans. Officer Moon, the team's xenolinguist, activated her translator. "We can help you. What happened to your ship?" The alien made a series of clicks and whistles. The translator processed his dying words. "Rebels. Discovered truth. Experiments on humans, had to warn." Captain Bay leaned closer. "What experiments? What happened to our people?" "Not dead. Test subjects." Pain response, Sector 7. Military research. The Zorlian coughed, more purple blood spilling from his mouth. "I tried to save data core, behind panel." His 3-fingered hand pointed weakly to a wall section before falling limp. Officer Moon checked for life signs and shook her head. The team found the hidden panel. Inside was a small crystal device. They secured it and returned to their ship just as the Zorlian vessel's systems began to fail completely. From a safe distance, they watched it explode into fragments. Back on Earth, the best tech experts worked to access the crystal's contents. For 3 days, they failed. Then Dr. Yu, a quiet woman who had lost her brother in the diplomatic mission, made a breakthrough. "It's keyed to Zorlian biology," she explained to Director Shin. "But I found a workaround." The first images appeared on the screen. The room fell silent. Horror filled every face. The videos showed the human delegation, not dead but imprisoned. The Zorlians had separated them into groups, some were in cells. Others were strapped to tables in laboratory settings. Dr. Han appeared in one video, his face thin and eyes haunted. He was forced to help the Zorlians study human biology. When he refused, they hurt Captain Na until he cooperated. The human nervous system is remarkably resilient, a Zorlian scientist noted in another clip. Subject 12 survived the pain threshold test for 37 minutes before cardiac failure. Director Shin watched without blinking, memorizing every detail, every face of the Zorlian torturers. "Is there any indication where they're being held?" he asked, his voice tight. "The rebel mentioned Sector 7, Dr. Yu said. These files confirm it's a military research facility near their home system, which is how far from Earth. With their technology, About 3 months' travel. Shin nodded slowly. And do we have any idea how many survived? Dr. Yu's hands trembled slightly as she pulled up another file. This log is from 2 weeks ago. 28 still alive then. The president called an emergency meeting that night. Military leaders, scientists, and intelligence directors gathered in the underground situation room. The evidence was presented without emotion, though many in the room had known the victims personally. The Zorlian ambassador requests an audience. Tomorrow, the foreign minister said. They're offering more technology exchanges. Stall them, the president ordered. Tell them I'm indisposed. We need time. Admiral Kang, the highest-ranking military officer, spoke up. Madam President, we have no weapons capable of reaching Zorlian space, let alone fighting them. Then we'll build them, she replied, using their own technology against them. Director Shin stood. The Zorlians think we're primitive. They don't know we have this information. Their arrogance is our advantage. The president looked around the room. From this moment we are at war, though our enemy doesn't know it yet. Every resource, every mind, every facility will work toward one goal, bringing our people home and making the Zorlians pay for their deception. And if we can't rescue them? Someone asked softly. The president's eyes hardened. Then we ensure their sacrifice is not forgotten. Either way, the Zorlians will learn that humanity protects its own. Outside, rain fell on a world unaware that everything had changed. In secret facilities around the globe, the drums of war began to beat. The hidden base beneath the lunar surface hummed with activity. 1 year had passed since the discovery of the truth. The world's governments had kept their knowledge secret from the public while they prepared. The Zorlians continued to visit Earth, bringing gifts of limited technology and empty promises. They never suspected that humans were studying everything. They brought taking it apart and learning their weaknesses. Colonel Ho walked through the massive underground hangar where the first human warships took shape. 5 sleek vessels, built with a combination of Earth and stolen Zorlian technology. They named the flagship Vengeance. How soon? He asked the chief engineer. Engineer Bay wiped sweat from her forehead and looked up from her tablet. 2 more weeks for weapons testing, then we're ready. Colonel Ho nodded. They had worked day and night for this moment. The ships incorporated everything they had learned from the captured data core, including the location of Sector 7 where the surviving humans were held. In another section of the base, Major Sun trained his Special Forces team. 20 men and women moved in perfect silence through a replica of Zorlian corridors. The team had practiced this rescue mission 1,000 times. Faster, Major Sun called out. The prison section is here. The lab is here. We have 15 minutes to secure both areas before their alarms activate. The soldiers moved with renewed speed, their movements precise. They wore new battle suits that could deflect Zorlian energy weapons. The suits were painted black with a simple emblem, a red earth surrounded by 50 stars, 1 for each original prisoner. Meanwhile, in a secure room filled with computers, Dr. Kang led the cyber warfare division. Her team had spent months creating viruses that could infiltrate Zorlian systems. Their network security is strong but predictable, she explained to Admiral Park during his inspection. They never expected us to understand their coding language, so they built few protections. The Admiral watched as her team ran simulations. On screens around the room, Zorlian defense systems failed one after another. How confident are you that this will work in real conditions? He asked. Dr. Kang smiled slightly. We tested it on their ambassador's ship last month when it was docked. They never detected our intrusion. In the medical wing, doctors prepared for the return of prisoners who had endured unimaginable torture. Dr. Jin studied the Zorlian medical files they had stolen, learning how to reverse some of the damage. Many won't be the same, she warned the mission commanders during a briefing. The psychological trauma alone. We'll bring them home, Colonel Ho promised, whatever condition they're in. The most critical preparation happened in total secrecy. 3 small scout ships had already been sent ahead with volunteer crews. They traveled slowly to avoid detection, setting up hidden relay stations that would allow the attack fleet to jump directly to Zorlian space. On the final night before launch, the crew of the Vengeance gathered in the mess hall. Captain Min raised his glass in a toast. "For Earth," he said simply. "For Earth," they echoed. Later, alone in his quarters, Captain Min looked at the photo on his desk. His sister had been the delegation's lead diplomat. The last video showed her being used in stress response experiments. He touched the image gently. "Soon," he whispered. Across the lunar base, similar scenes played out. Nearly everyone involved had lost someone or knew someone who had. This mission was personal. At dawn, the final loading began. Weapons were secured, medical supplies were checked. The Special Forces teams boarded their designated ships. In orbit around Earth, Zorlian observers noticed nothing unusual. Their scans could not penetrate the moon's surface, and humans had been careful to maintain normal space traffic patterns. Admiral Park stood in the control center, watching as the massive hangar doors opened on the far side of the moon, hidden from Earth and Zorlian view. "All ships report ready, sir," his aide announced. The Admiral took a deep breath. This would be humanity's first act of interstellar warfare. There would be no going back. "Launch," he ordered. One by one, the 5 warships rose silently from the lunar surface. Their new engines, reverse-engineered from Zorlian technology, made no detectable emissions. They formed up in the shadow of the moon, running final systems checks. On the Vengeance's bridge, Captain Min settled into the command chair. His crew worked quietly at their stations, faces set with determination. "Course laid in for Jump Point Alpha," his navigator reported. "Weapons hot and ready," said the tactical officer. Captain Min opened the ship-wide communication channel. "This is your captain. In 1 hour we will make the jump to Zorlian space. Our mission is clear. Rescue our people and show the Zorlians that humanity is not to be underestimated." He paused, looking at the stars on the main view screen. "They took our people. They tortured them. They thought us weak. Today they learn otherwise." The 5 ships accelerated away from the moon, invisible to Earth's observers. When they reached the jump point, they vanished in flashes of blue light. Operation Righteous Fury had begun. The 5 human warships emerged silently at the edge of Zorlian space. The blue-green gas giant ahead of them provided perfect cover for their arrival. Captain Min stood on the bridge of the Vengeance watching the alien planet on the main view screen. "Stealth systems functioning at 100%, reported his science officer. "No sign they've detected us." Min nodded. "Begin Phase 1. From the belly of each warship, smaller craft deployed. These were scout ships, designed specifically for this mission. They moved swiftly toward the nearby moon, the location of Sector 7. The intelligence was correct. A large facility sat on the moon's surface, surrounded by defense towers. Lieutenant Ku led the first scout team. Her small ship skimmed low over the moon's rocky terrain, sensors gathering data about the research center's defenses. 3 guard posts on the perimeter, she reported back to the fleet. Main entrance appears to have 20 guards. Security is lighter than expected. Inside the facility, the Zorlians went about their work with no sense of danger. In the lower levels, the remaining human prisoners huddled in cells. Of the original 50, only 23 still lived. Dr. Han lay on his thin mattress, staring at the ceiling. His once fit body was now thin and covered with scars from repeated surgeries. In the cell next to his, Captain Na coughed weakly. The sound pulled Han from his dark thoughts. "Water?" he asked, pushing his cup through the small opening between their cells. "Save it," she whispered. "You'll need strength for tomorrow's tests." Han was about to reply when the lights suddenly flickered. This had never happened before. The Zorlian facility ran on perfect, uninterrupted power. Both prisoners looked up in confusion. Back in orbit, Dr. Kang's cyber warfare program had begun its work. The virus infiltrated the facility's main computer, disrupting systems one by one. "Security cameras disabled," she reported from the Vengeance's computer center. "Internal communications down," Defense grid offline in 3, 2, 1. Captain, Min turned to his communications officer. Signal the assault teams, they have a 15-minute window. Major Sun led 3 dropships toward the facility. His 40 soldiers were split into teams with clear objectives. Team Alpha would secure the prisoner cells, Team Beta would capture the research data, and Team Gamma would take control of the command center. Remember your training, Sun told his soldiers over the comm. Quick and quiet, weapons on stun unless you have no choice. The dropships landed without resistance. The teams moved out, their black armor blending with the shadows as they approached the facility. The few Zorlian guards outside never saw them coming. Silent, stun weapons dropped them before they could raise an alarm. Inside, confusion had spread among the Zorlian staff. Their systems were failing and they couldn't contact their security forces. "Check the backup generators," ordered the facility director, "and send someone to the communication center." The order came too late. Team Gamma breached the main entrance, swiftly neutralizing the guards. Major Sun personally led Team Alpha toward the prison section, following the memorized facility map. They encountered 5 Zorlian guards in the corridor. A brief firefight erupted. The new human weapons worked exactly as designed. The energy blast knocked the aliens unconscious without damaging the structure. "Prison section ahead," Sun reported. "We're proceeding." When they reached the cell block, the sight that greeted them fueled their rage. The cells were small and filthy. The humans inside looked barely alive. "Medical team with me," Sun ordered. "The rest of you, secure the perimeter." He approached the first cell and opened the door. Inside, a thin woman looked up with dull eyes that suddenly widened in recognition. "Earth?" she whispered, as if afraid to hope. "Yes," Sun said gently. "We've come to take you home." 2 levels up, Team Beta fought their way into the research lab. They downloaded all data and planted charges on the equipment. The Zorlians would not continue their experiments after today. In his cell, Han heard the unfamiliar sounds of fighting, then human voices calling out in Korean and English. He struggled to his feet as the door slid open. A soldier in black armor stood there. "Dr. Han?" the soldier asked, removing his helmet. "I'm Sergeant Choi. We're here to rescue you." Han couldn't speak. Tears ran down his face as the soldier helped him out. In the hallway, he saw other soldiers helping the remaining prisoners. Some had to be carried. Captain Na leaned heavily on a medic as she walked past Han. Their eyes met. For the first time in months, they allowed themselves to feel hope. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Captain Min received the reports. "All teams reporting success, sir. 23 survivors recovered. Research data secured. Charges set." Min nodded. "Begin withdrawal. All teams back to ships immediately." As the rescue teams lifted off from the moon's surface, the charges detonated. The research facility collapsed in on itself, becoming a tomb for the horrors committed there. The Zorlian High Command received word of the attack 2 hours later. By then, the human fleet had disappeared back into the jump point. Their first strike had been perfect, in and out without losses, but it was only the beginning of humanity's vengeance. The Zorlian High Council gathered in their grand chamber on the homeworld. The 12 leaders sat in a circle, their gray-blue faces showing unusual signs of stress. 4 days had passed since the human attack on Sector 7. "How is this possible?" demanded Supreme Leader Torax. "These primitives should not have such technology." Defense Minister Nalok's scales paled slightly. "The humans have been studying our gifts more carefully than we realized, and they somehow obtained detailed information about our research. The rebel ship that disappeared near their world, another," Counselor said. "Could it have reached them?" Before anyone could answer, the chamber's lights flickered. The massive view screen on the wall activated without command. The face that appeared made the council members hiss in surprise. A human male in a military uniform. "I am Admiral Park of Earth Defense Force," the human said calmly. "I speak for the people of Earth." Guards rushed to secure the room, but the communication could not be cut off. Dr. Kang's virus had complete control of Zorlian systems. "What is the meaning of this intrusion?" Supreme Leader Torax demanded. "We have recovered our people from your research facility," Admiral Park continued. "We know what you did to them. Your lies have been exposed." The Zorlians looked at each other nervously. This was not supposed to happen. Humans were meant to be test subjects, not equals who could strike back. "I speak now to all Zorlians," Admiral Park said, his voice now broadcasting throughout the Empire. "Your leaders have committed crimes against humanity. They presented themselves as friends while torturing our people." Across Zorlian cities, confused citizens stopped and stared at public screens. The human's face disappeared, replaced by footage from the research facility. The images showed human prisoners being cut open, tested, tortured. The voice continued explaining each horror in simple terms that all could understand. In their homes, ordinary Zorlians watched in shock. They had been told that humans were honored guests, or that they had died in an accident. Never had they imagined this truth. On the capital world, riots began within hours. Angry crowds gathered outside government buildings. For the first time in their history, Zorlian citizens questioned their leaders. The Supreme Leader ordered a military response to the human broadcast, but when officers tried to activate defense systems, nothing worked. Weapon platforms remained silent. Ships could not launch. "We've lost control of everything," the defense minister reported, panic in his voice. At that moment, sensors detected new energy signatures. Hundreds of ships appeared in Zorlian space, the full human fleet built in secret during the past year. They took position around key worlds while Zorlian military vessels drifted powerless. On the bridge of the flagship Vengeance, now joined by the massive carrier Justice, Captain Min addressed his fleet. "All ships in position. All weapons locked. On targets." The recovered survivors from Sector 7 had been safely returned to Earth, but their suffering would not go unanswered. This day had been long planned. Admiral Park's face reappeared on Zorlian screens. "Your civilization now faces a choice. Surrender those responsible for crimes against humanity, or face our full response." In the council chamber, the Zorlian leaders argued bitterly. Some wanted to fight, believing in their superiority despite the current situation. Others saw the truth. They had gravely underestimated these humans. "We should strike them now," insisted Minister Naylock. "Once we regain control of our systems, control you will not regain," a voice said from the doorway. A group of Vorlian military officers entered, led by General Krax. "The humans have shown us the truth of your actions. You violated our most sacred laws of conduct with other species." "This is treason," shouted the Supreme Leader. "No," replied General Krax. "This is justice." Throughout the Empire, the rebellion spread quickly. The images of tortured humans had broken something fundamental in Zorlian society, their belief in their own moral superiority. Military units refused orders to fight the humans. Government officials stepped down or were removed. Within 3 days, the Zorlian High Council was arrested by their own people. A temporary government was formed, led by those who opposed the research program. Captain Min watched from orbit as the transmission came in from the new Zorlian leadership. "We surrender unconditionally to human justice," the message said. "The criminals who ordered and conducted these experiments will be delivered to you. We seek to make amends for these unforgivable acts." 1 month later, on a bright spring day, in Geneva, the survivors of Sector 7 attended a ceremony. Dr. Han sat in a wheelchair, still too weak to stand for long. Captain Na stood behind him, her hand on his shoulder. Though their bodies would forever bear the scars of their ordeal, they had lived to see this day. 27 caskets lay before them, holding the remains of those who did not survive. Earth's flags flew at half-mast around the world. The President approached the podium. Behind her stood representatives from the new Zorlian government, their heads bowed in shame. "Today we honor those who were taken from us," she said. "Their sacrifice has changed the galaxy forever. From this day forward, all intelligent species will know that humanity stands for justice, for dignity, and for peace." She turned to face the Zorlian representatives, "And all will know that those who harm us will face our vengeance." A new era had begun. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, not as victims, but as a force to be respected and never again underestimated. Retry, Claude. Can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.